Hello, world. Welcome to episode 8 of the 3FL podcast centered around faith, family, fitness, love, loyalty, and leadership. I'm your host, Tyler Friend, and today we have an amazing guest. He is I would say a man that always, whenever he's in a room or whenever he's, comes into a place that he always brings good energy and speaks life into people. And he's always giving back, and he's just, I would say, example of a great human being and just a good staple in the community. Dean Johnson.
I didn't even know that. So I get to hear that from your mouth, what you feel of me. You don't always know what people feel from you. It's been a goal of mine my whole life, really. It's just to try to make people feel better than when they came in, before they met me. I don't know why that's been like that. I just enjoy making people happy. They should be happy. Mm-hmm. They should be positive. I don't share problems with people who can't solve them or help me solve them. Otherwise, you're just burdening them. So even now, we talked a little bit before this, but I have cancer and I'm in the middle of my radiation treatments right now. People ask me, "Hey Dean, how you doing?" I say things like, "Hey man, if I was any better, vitamins would be taking me," or "virtually perfect. Man, things could not be better," because that's really the way I feel. Yeah, I have cancer, but I'm not going to tell them. They can't help me. It just bums them out, man. It's a buzzkill. Mm-hmm. That's my issues that I have to deal with, and I'm doing it through, well, like you said, your 5 L's there have helped me a great deal in my whole life there, the faith, family, and all that stuff. It comes in handy. When you say you have faith and whatever that may be, you don't really know if you have it until it's tested, and that's one of the things I'm going through now, is testing my family, testing my faith, testing my just all of the things that come along with life. You think that you're really this type of person or that type of person, but when you're confronted with life and death situations or whatever, how are you going to decide, man? You better have your ducks in a row before this happens. Otherwise, this is a big burden trying to organize all this stuff. I've got about 11 different doctors, medical people, and all this stuff I'm going to see, and I don't know any of this stuff. If I didn't have my head on straight before I got into this stuff, it would be just a big mess. But this is one thing that we all have in common is illnesses, imperfections. We have to deal with that. So that's what I am in the process of doing right now.
Mm-hmm. And
on a health level.
Thank you for sharing that. I think the biggest way I could relate to you in this situation, and it's nowhere near it's magnifying. But whenever I was in the hospital, and I went blind for about 7 months. Like, there was a lot of things going on in my mind, and it was whether or not I was going to be able to live, if I was going to be able to endure through the pain, because there was headaches. Like, it was the craziest thing. It was like there was an electric shock going on in my head for like 7 months straight, and then my eye had went in. It's like I went cockeyed.
Yeah.
I started to wear freaking sunglasses every day because I was just like, I didn't like, it was a scary thing. You didn't know if you were going to look like that, and whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And then up until I just went completely blind, I went to the hospital, man. It was just a terrible, terrible thing, because I was I didn't have insurance, right? So I was, and now I'm like, now this is when your faith's being tested, because, money keeps coming out, thousands, and you're not making it. Thankfully, that I had a lot of money saved, but, there was money coming out.
Yep.
And, you're looking at the situation like, man, I don't know if it's going to end, if I'm going to, and being able to cling to your faith, though, in the process, and finally get the breakthrough that you need, and be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, on the other side of it, and be able to, continue to have a story to tell.
Faith was always I got married really young. We had a unique situation. Kathy, my wife, and I were high school sweethearts. literally, she was 16, I was 17. Her family did not like my family. My family didn't like her. They didn't want any marriages. They were small town political enemies, and they just didn't want any. We still saw each other at school. We were kids. They found out about it, and they were shipping her off to California. It was just a big mess. So long story short, we just ran off. We just got on a Greyhound bus and took off and got married at a very early age. And her father did not even know I was in the picture. He thought I'd left a long time ago. And he wanted to see me, her father. So I go up to see him, and he's got a gun sitting right there on the couch, and I have to come and see him. I'm a kid, man. I'm a teenager. I'm 17 years old. And he wants to tell me this and that, tried to buy me off, scare me off, and all that. And I had to convince him, now, I'm the best guy in the world for your daughter. Even though I don't have a job, I don't have a good car, I don't have any money, I don't have an education, I have nothing, but I'm the best guy for that. And that's when I realized that maybe I have a career in sales if I can sell this guy. And yeah, it was kind of like that. So long story short, we just left. We ended up in Fort Lauderdale, got off the bus there. I had $35 left for an efficiency apartment. I hitchhiked the next day and got a job, an old department store. And then I got Kathy a job the next day there. And then we were all set. When we were 18, I had 32 people working for us in the cleaning business. We just started cleaning, and I just went out and I just bid everything, jobs. It was a construction cleaning company. And we became the largest non-union cleaning company, and it's not a big deal, but construction cleaning. We were busy, man. So we did all that stuff, and then, long story short, 10 years later, her family ended up coming to work for us. So, everything's good. I love them. They're my family and all that. But adversity is tough. I didn't have any mentors. My parents divorced early, and my father was not exactly, a mentor. He didn't teach me anything except how to drink alcohol, abuse it, and abuse people. I knew that wasn't what I wanted to do. I just knew that. And I knew most kids end up growing up imitating their parents. Even if they don't like that behavior, that's what they do. I knew that. So I said, I'm not going to be that way. And I never was. I never laid a hand on my daughter or my wife, or never got out of control like that. And so that was a challenge for me. I was young, didn't have any direction. This is kind of funny, but I still remember this. What seemed compelling to me, what I needed to know, was the answer to this one question before I could get on with my life. We were going to college at nighttime. Me and Kathy were working all day long. They were going to junior college, at nighttime, a community college. And I remember asking the professors and teachers and all this kind of stuff, and I wanted to know, was I evolved? Did I evolve from a single cell up to this magnificent creature, which is what kind of the world teaches, science, not all science, but some science teaches evolution. They accept it as fact. But then there's creation, which teaches we were perfect creatures. We were morally perfect and physically, and we have degenerated through imperfection down to this imperfect person we are today. The philosophies are opposite. One, the evolution says you do things that are survival of the fittest. You do things that only benefit you and your tribe, your family, things. So, it's a little selfish, but that's what survival of the fittest and evolution teaches. That's what it's all about. But creation teaches the opposite, that there is a good reason to be self-sacrificing. There is a good reason to love outside of your own unit. I'm like, I can't justify those two. One is right, one is wrong. Or maybe both are wrong, but at least with these two choices, one of them is not right. Which one is it? So I started asking people, teachers, how do you know that? Serious, how do you know that you say that history began 7,000 years ago with writings, that's when mankind first started writing. That's the oldest writings that we found. And that you say people have lived here on the planet for millions of years, and just 7,000 years ago, 6,000 years, whatever, people started writing. They just appeared historically. That's when history began all over the world. There's no writings that predate that. So I said, it's like a sudden transformation, which gives more credibility to the creation aspect. I'm like, wow, okay. So anyway, I had to debate that back and forth and ask people, ask teachers, how do you know that that guy is 3.2 million years old? How do you know that? Well, carbon dating and all that. Do you know that, or you just got that from a book? Well, I just read it in a book. Okay, so I read about carbon dating. You know, carbon dating, listen, would be all thrown off track if you factored in the Noachian flood, right? I mean, water, pressure, that kind of stuff will change dating, and carbon. It makes carbon into diamonds, pressure does. So that would account for all of that. Then I started learning that every society on Earth, going back thousands of years, they all have a flood legend. I don't care if you're Indians, they escaped in a teepee, one family in a little canoe, went off somewhere. It's the same kind of thing, but it's all over, universal. I'm like, wow, that's coincidental. So anyway, long story short, I satisfied my own self and curiosity by believing that I didn't evolve. I didn't know. People adapt. Adaptation is different than evolution, but I needed to know those two separate. So I can't say that it changed my life on it, but it didn't make me ask questions. I asked questions of everything, everybody. I was at I don't know if this is a good thing to even say during your podcast like this, but I went to a funeral of a dear friend of mine. He was a very old guy, he was Catholic, and I was just a young student asking questions. And the priest came in. We're in a room like this, and all of his family was sitting around there. It was a wake, which I didn't even know what that was, really. But they just sit around after the funeral. The priest comes in, does a rosary, and meets everybody. And he did. He came in and said this prayer a whole bunch of times. Then he goes to meet everybody. Hi, I'm Father such and such. Who are you? What's your relationship to Joe, the deceased? And they would all say it. They got to me, and I said, sir, can I ask you a question? He said, yeah. I said, when you came in here, you said the same prayer over and over and over again. A lot of times. Yeah, I said the Our Father prayers, Hail Mary, is 50 of them. And I said, well, I was reading in the funeral home here. There's a Bible over here in the corner. And I said right here, I just ran across this. Jesus said, when you pray, don't say the same prayer over and over again, like the Pharisees do. That's what he said. And I said, you just did that. So I'm confused. I'm just confused. I'm not calling, I don't mean to be disrespectful or anything.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, one of you is wrong, you or Jesus.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do about that? So, he gave me some answer. Well, the church knows things that nobody else does and all that. And I said, no. I said, you know things that Jesus said you shouldn't be doing. I know that. So anyway, he said, well, if you want to talk to me, talk to my secretary, make an appointment. He walks away. I said, okay, how do I do that? And he closed the door on me. So I said, all right, man, there's something going on here. So I just kept asking questions. And like I said, I didn't have any direction in my life. I didn't have a father. I left home really early. My mother raised 4 kids by herself, so I was the oldest, so I kind of took care of everybody. So I knew how to manage things and run kids and families and all that kind of stuff. I had no skills, so I had to start my own businesses because I didn't know how to do anything. So I started cleaning. Me and my wife, we started cleaning. And we just, just parlayed it until we run across this opportunity and we exploit it and do that. And we kind of did that through our whole lives. And now I've been married 54 years to the same person.
Wow.
I know. And I love her more today,
Faith.
Yeah.
With the faith thing. It's very
the faith thing, the family thing, they're both. You can't, I tell you, you may not be a person of faith until you lose a family member. And all of a sudden, man, your heart is just ripped and torn, and you start asking why. Where do you go? Where does a person go to when they die? What happens to them? They're so alive. And here we are with I think if more people would kind of rely on that sort of compass, we wouldn't have the world that we live in today. So I read the Bible. I looked into the Quran. I looked into some Buddhism. I looked into, just stuff and philosophy, secular things. Even, people like Tony Robbins. I mean, he's a guru in his own way. They're all selling something to make your life better and bigger and all that. I went to plenty of those kind of sessions there. But I settled in that your family is your faith, really. It has everything to do with that. And unfortunately, I lost my only child 5 years ago. She died unexpectedly. And man, you talk about putting yourself to the test. I didn't know that I could hurt that bad. I didn't know that life could be so painful. And you can't help but think, why? Why does this happen? All these kind of questions. Those were things that were important to me. I don't know what I needed to know. A lot of people just go through life rudderless. Mm-hmm. And, my experience with the Bible, reading that and all that, I have come over the years to regard that as the owner's manual for people, mankind. Hey, I'm having a malfunction in my life or my spirituality. I'm having a Let's see what it says about that here. Everything from Proverbs and teachings of many of the people in there and of Jesus and all that. The information is reliable every single time it works. I don't think anybody disagrees with if someone, let's just say what Jesus said, if someone provokes you, don't become provoked. He said if someone slaps you, turn the other cheek. A lot of people
talk about
misunderstand.
that in church. That's funny.
Huh?
We just went over that in church.
Okay, well,
Sunday, yeah.
I don't know if I can explain it properly, but the way I understand it is what Jesus was saying, he wasn't saying let people hit you. He wasn't saying let people beat you up. He was saying when they provoke you. See, he said when people slap you.
They try you.
Slapping is
But not putting you in danger.
aggravating.
Not putting you in
He
danger.
didn't say
Yeah,
if
yeah,
someone
yeah.
took a fist and getting ready to punch
Yeah.
you. No, he didn't say that at all. He was talking about provocation. And will that work in life if someone's trying to provoke you and you're like, I got this thing, I can handle it. Will that work? Uh-huh. Will it work how many times? Every time. So I've used that, and I've used two things that have inspired my relationship with my wife, and it has made it work. Because I get asked that all the time. How'd you do that? How do you live? So 50 years, same woman, all that. Two things. One is I don't go to bed mad. Don't let the sun set on you in a provoked state. I think the Apostle Paul said that. Don't go to bed mad. Stay up. Work it out. Tug it out, man. Tug it out. Do not go to bed mad. Ever. And the other one is the stronger of the two bears the weakness of the other. And that has worked in every situation because marriage is not 50-50. Marriage is 90-10 one day. The next day you wake up, it's 50-50. The next day it's 70-30. The next day it's 99.9 and it's 0.1. It just depends. Whoever is stronger at that moment, even if she's wrong, but she just can't see it. She's weak. I'm stronger than her at this moment. So I can handle it. I bear it. And that works every time. We do that. We have perfected that, really. She knows when to back off. I know when to back off. Stronger of the two bears the weakness of the other, and we don't go to bed mad. And we have a great sex life. So
That's what's up, man. I'm happy for you and your wife.
man, she's the hottest girl in school.
Freaking A, man. So you basically like, it's, and now you own the company right now, and
This one.
Yeah.
Yep, we are at Get Stretched here in Ocala. It's a practitioner-assisted stretching business. Yep, and I own that.
Awesome. And now tell me a little bit about because I want everybody to know this more, a little bit about your infrastructure with who works here and, and what your reasoning is behind that.
I fell off my motorcycle and I hurt me. Broke 20 bones, bones sticking out of my shoulder. It was really bad. I was medevaced out of there, and it was pretty serious. Wasn't ever going to be able to use my arm again. It was frozen and all this kind of stuff. I went through 2 years of physical therapy, and I went through a bunch of other stuff, everything you could find, injections and orthopedics and massage and chiropractic, everything for years. And my arm was just stuck, and I finally found a stretching place, heard about it, went to it, and I asked them, can you unfreeze my arm? They said, yeah. And I said, yeah, right. So everybody says that. So anyway, long story short, they did, stretched it all out. I fell in love with the concept. I said, this is amazing. This fills a void between physical therapy, massage. There's just nothing in between. You go to a physical therapist, but you got to have a note from your doctor, and it can only work on that one thing and all that. We work on everything. We work on whatever your problem is. You come in here, I got this, and I got one of these, and that's what we work on. We do all that stuff here. I wanted to take this to a whole new level. So all of my practitioners out here, they all have degrees in physical therapy, physiology, exercise physiology, that kind of thing. They all degreed in it. And then we send them to Stretch College. There is a Stretch College, actually, and they get certified in that. And then we have our own protocols that we do here. We don't have 15 stretches, and that's all you do, like some of the other stretch places and around. Everybody does a little specifically planned program for you. So anyway, from that standpoint, we're different than anybody, and I think that is our unique selling or our unique position in the marketplace.
I love that. Deanie boy, Dean Graciosi, that's what I call you. Do you have any questions for me,
Other than, why am I here? Why do you think I am worthy of your podcast here? It was just a dude with a story. Everybody's got a story.
All right, so I'll tell you, just like you, a male role model example. My grandfather passed away when he was 68. I was on drugs from when I was 15
See, I'm
to
older than your
23.
grandfather.
He passed away at 68. I was 23 at 68. So from, I stopped talking and really being around my family when he was 60. So that weighed on me a lot. And besides, other than that, I didn't necessarily have somebody to look up to. That was a positive influence. I was in the streets, and there was people that.
How important do you think a role model or an influence in your life is?
Well, just let me. Well, and I'll say this real quick. So, whenever I see people, right, that I do feel like are an example, right, Ben, Dean Johnson, Davion. I don't know if you know Davion. You might not. Certain people that I see, what I see is I see the same thing that's in them, that's in me, but there's no conversation that has to be had. You know what I'm saying? And I just love to get the same story, the same blind faith, went through this, had trials, tribulations, made it on the other side, started to love people more, started to be more loyal, started to, lead my family in a better direction, started to understand that my life there's impact in it, and just to be able to get people to see. And here's the thing, Dean. You live an extraordinary life in an ordinary, and everybody else thinks it's ordinary. But truthfully, there's so many things that go on that are so divine and that make so much sense now that you explain it, that it's not.
Yeah.
It's not ordinary. So it's the struggle that you go through that make in the trauma and the wounds and all that bullcrap, man, that ultimately makes the beauty of the person on the inside. And I didn't know nowhere near the extent of your story or anything from what you had went through, but what I do know is you have the same type of energy interaction as I do, on a regular basis, and most people don't necessarily have that frequency. So I kind of understood that all the way, and then there was one other thing.
It's an appreciation of life. Yeah. It's the appreciation of your relationship with your higher being. It's an appreciation of people. It's just an appreciation of life. It's gratitude. Go ahead.
What you in the same statement continues to be true and more and more true every time I talk to people that have the same histories, the same things that you didn't have as a child, right? is the same thing that you crave to pour into other people and receive as well.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah, it's true.
And that
I mean,
shapes
yeah.
you. That shapes how you're going to impact the world once you make the
My
parallel
biggest
transition.
motivation
into
was
life.
I did not want to be like my father.
Exactly.
You know, that was a motivation, and
Yeah.
it wasn't that I hated my father. Or this, he was
Just
not a
didn't wanna
good
be like
person.
him. He just didn't have the right. He didn't have the right behaviors. He wasn't. His people. You can't blame him. It's generational.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, there has to become a point where you look at the perspective from like, okay, well, what am I going to do about it?
Yep.
How am I going to
Yep.
impact generations behind me? What are my behaviors going to be? What am I going to teach? What habits are I going to leave behind?
Yeah,
what
sure
am I going
enough,
to leave
man.
for my family?
You could take all that stuff seriously like I did when I was young and asking all these questions of authority figures and all of this kind of stuff. You may think that you need to know this stuff. It's just kind of instinctive in you at some point. It doesn't matter. It happens to some people when they're young, other people when they're old. But when you have a child, wow, that changes everything. A child changes everything. I don't even know what it is. It's hormonal. I don't even know this person, this kid, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, the kid comes out, they hand it to you, and you say, I would die for this little human
thing
being.
right
I don't
here,
even
yeah.
know her. I don't even know why I feel that way. So it changes your chemistry and everything that you have here, this self-sacrificial love that, that you have.
It just goes up like 100 times.
Yeah,
what it is.
Yeah,
already,
then
yeah.
your little one grows up and starts saying, Daddy, why is the sky blue? Why is this happening? Why does the dog do this? Why does it? What? Now you're starting to understand why you've gathered some of this information, to pass it along to another beautiful human being that you can do so much a better job than what my father did, parents and all that. My mom wasn't bad. She was just gone all the time. She was working.
And it wasn't even her fault.
Nope.
That's the thing.
She had 4 kids by the time she was 27.
My mom had 4 kids. She had 4 kids, and we never had like any of that around the house. My brother did, and I will say like for a very, very, very long time did play the role, but he was, and it's not. I'm not just taking any credit from him, but at a certain point, like you have to.
Hey, he wasn't good at it.
He was no.
I
Well,
wasn't
I'm not
good at
saying
it.
he wasn't good at it.
He
Like,
w-
that's not even. It's not even that.
I wasn't good at
It's
it.
that he did. It wasn't his responsibility to
Well,
do
it wasn't mine either,
and
but
he
I had
still
to do
stepped
it.
up and did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't his responsibility, but for him to, number one, just accept the role and do the best he could means everything in the fucking world. So
Well, you think about life, the parallels between life and stepping up things you don't have to do.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I noticed in life to get ahead, if you want to call it, in the financial world here, is do things other people don't do. Do things that are unexpected of you. Do things that are bigger, beyond you. I've hired people. I've had businesses my entire life and made millions and millions of dollars. And the one ingredient that I find that it has to exist in any person that's going to be successful in life, family, faith, whatever, and that is hunger. You got to want it. You got to be hungry because it's not going to happen. It's not easy to make things happen. You got to be hungry and have that hunger. So when I talk to somebody that I'm hiring, or thinking about hiring, and I'm looking at them, I'm trying to connect with them and listen to them, and they're giving me answers like, I ask people, why should I hire you? And I get answers back like, well, I really need a job. Like,
oh, I
Right?
We can relate to that.
yeah, like,
we'll go.
I
We can
know
go into
that's
that.
why
Yeah.
you should work here, but why should I hire you?
Hire you. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me something. So I'm looking for that ingredient. I used to have young people tell me, well, I haven't had any experience. All I've done is work at McDonald's, and that's where I work now. I'm just trying to do something bigger and better, but that I don't have any experience or training. I said, do you understand what you're doing right now? Customer service, working with people. Do you know how valuable that is? Yeah. Do you know how valuable it is that you can operate machinery and money and cash and all this stuff?
Yeah, they just minimize their ability.
They don't think that that's an important job.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. From an employer standpoint, I bet there's a lot of employers that feel this way. Someone tells me, man, they made a career out of McDonald's or they came from working there. That is a plus. When I say McDonald's,
Because they stick with something.
It's hard, man. It's hard. It's a low prestige job. It's a hard thing, but they're able to do it. able to work the drive-through window. My grandson did that, so I'm kind of familiar with it. What all's involved there? Very hectic and all that. Great training. Don't ever discount the fact that you work fast food or any of those kind of jobs. That is great training. So I don't ever hold that against anybody, but hunger is something you just got to have. You got to have a desire to make things work.
And for me, whenever we interview people, right, it's I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, if you haven't been through something, or if there's like not some type of like real desire to like be in the fitness industry or like make a difference or make an impact, no matter, even if you got a lot of talent, like if you don't have the heart or whatever the case may be, even if you have the heart and you have skill and ability, but you just don't have the knowledge yet, like, dude, that's my favorite one, because I'm able to mold and we're able to take, the brand new canvas and develop and turn them into.
You can get knowledge. You can fix that.
Yeah.
Always
But skill and ability and being able to like listen and be coachable and have, because a lot of the people, believe it or not, everybody that works at the gym, like, they've been through some type of crazy,
yeah.
And to see the beautiful like hearts that they have and to see how much they care, it's like on a, I would say, subsequently higher level than most cases. And the culture that we have and the energy that we have in this space all the time is just like, man,
you learn a lot if you just
unique.
If you just learn from me, just open up and listen to them, get to know them. Yeah. There is a gentleman,
so much different culture too.
There is a gentleman that you and I both know, and he is the nicest guy. He is a trainer. He is he works there. He is the busiest trainer in the whole company, I think. He is more successful than anybody. And yet, he's tattooed from head to toe. His head is tattooed. His hair, his neck is all tattooed.
All the way.
Face, he looks like jelly rolls tattooed.
Yeah, everywhere.
Like this. This guy, you would cross the street if you were
walking
he was coming
on the same sidewalk. Yeah, you would go across. You would, from the outward perspective.
And yet, he is the nicest, gentlest, friendliest guy. So, I learn from everybody. I'll go up and I'll see somebody now, since I've met this guy. I don't think we'll mention his name. I don't know what your podcast does there, but you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Doesn't even matter.
I know.
But let me see here. There's so many things going on in my head here, talking about things in life that we've learned here. My marriage is one thing that's important to me, obviously. It's my basis, my foundation. She's my partner in life on everything. And I've been asked before, well, how did you find the perfect mate? Like, here's what I've learned. This is what I've accepted anyway. I don't know if it's truth or not, but it's my truth. I've learned that there is no perfect mate. There is a mate for you that you love, the qualities and all that sort of thing, but you find someone who is willing to become the perfect mate for you. Somebody who says, what do you like? What are your tastes? What do you wants to know, so they can form and mold. They become that perfect person, which makes you want to do that. And that's how you find your perfect mate. Not that she was right for me. We had different everything backgrounds.
Y'all just learn to work better together.
Yeah.
And work well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I'm been married 54 years. I'm 72, so I was 17, and, I didn't have a lot going for me, obviously. But throughout life, this is the principles that I've applied that have made me, I would consider, successful. My definition of successful is doing what you want to do, when you want to do it, with the people you want to do it with. That's kind of my definition of worldly, secular success. And that's pretty good. So in my retirement, I retired about 3 years ago, I guess, 3, 4. And man, I'm just living the dream. I live in the house I want to live in. It's perfect. Just
really?
Awesome. Oh,
that's amazing.
Yeah, I got $1 million home. I have ducks. I have pet ducks. I have 3 pecans, those big white ducks you see around, like the Aflac duck. I have those. They were rescue ducks. They were injured. People brought them to me. Could I store them here for the weekend? And anyway, ended up I have three
buying them.
ducks, man. But I have duck eggs every day. There are other people are paying $12 for a dozen eggs. Mine are free. So I get that. And I love where I live. I drive the car I want to drive. I have the woman I want to love. I have have it all going on. But that's not where your foundation is built, because that can all be shaken with a
matter of time.
Yeah, I mean, like me, I just got hit with cancer diagnosis 2 weeks ago, and what is that?
And I'm going to say one thing as well. My faith, whenever I talked about that earlier, my money was going down. My faith was in my bank account. My faith was there.
Yeah.
And then when it started going down, my faith changed. It had to change. It had to change.
Yeah.
So I understand exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, good, man. And it's funny, all of the old proverbs and sayings and things you hear in life about the older you get, the wiser you get. Now, it's kind of true, because I just become more mellow, and as I get older, I accept other people's opinions easier. Mm-hmm. When you're young, man, you're dogmatic. Youth is, everything is either black or white. Mm-hmm. It's right or wrong. You're that kind of a crusader. And as you get older, you start learning that really, in fact, most of life exists in the gray area. It's not totally wrong. It's not totally right. It's just a little bit of both. It depends on circumstances and a lot of things. So you get a little more mellow as you get older. So anyway, like I said earlier.
Perspectives change a little bit. Yeah, as you continue to kind of look.
Yeah, they do. I've learned things.
And understand, yeah.
I don't battle with people anymore about different ideas. When somebody tells me they're this, and I might believe that, I might try to convince them or show them or have a discussion. I don't do a lot of that anymore. It's not because I don't care. It's just, well, first off,
I don't got enough time for that.
I'm exhausted from it. I've got a whole lifetime. Right? Yeah. I don't have enough time for that. I don't want to do it. Yeah. I'll just listen. Yeah. I'll just listen and learn. And I found out that I have learned a lot from other people that I didn't take the time to listen to before. So I'm appreciative of that. I'm appreciative of everything. The cancer thing is inconvenient. The treatment is horrible. You have to go twice a day and get blasted with radiation and all this stuff. The treatment is worse than the disease, but you have to deal with it, because the disease eventually will, I guess, kill you. So you got to deal with it. This is how we deal with it these days. Mm-hmm. So that, that kind of, if you don't have,
keep going.
If you don't have your foundation, laid in your life, you never know when things could happen. And you don't have to wait till you're 72 before bad health things happen. It could happen at any time. I know, I'm in the cancer place over there twice a day, and I run into young people in there.
Cancer and stuff, wow.
Yeah, all of that. Cancer is
yeah, and it's like, the thing is, that once we want to understand too, is you go to the gym, you eat right, you do all your daily due diligence, and
this is, for your audience here, this is where I know you from, is from Zone Health and Fitness area, and manager there, and I have been going there for years, before it opened.
Before I was even there, you were there.
I was there when it was Compass.
Yeah.
And then it was Brick City, and then it's Zone. Yeah, I've been going there, so I've done everything right. I've exercised, kept myself in good shape, I eat well, I do all the right things. This stuff happens. I think it was Solomon who said in Ecclesiastes that time and unforeseen occurrences befall us all. And that's what this falls under, that category. It's not a curse by God. It's not a this by somebody. It's not that. It's just environmental and imperfections and inherited flaws in your DNA and whatever the causes of this kind of stuff is. It's a lot of environmental things, I know, because in the 1940s, I've learned 1 in 6 people had cancer. Now it's 1 in 10,000 had cancer. Now it's 1 in 6.
Wow.
So, yeah. It's our food, it's our environment.
Plastics,
it's everything. It's stress, it's trauma. I didn't realize that. So I'm also going to a functional medicine doctor. A place that holistic teaches nutrition, health, blood work, does all of that, analyzes your blood to see that you're low in this and low in this vitamin, and they start, getting yourself lined up and balanced. because it's an autoimmune thing. Cancer is kind of, your body is not fighting off these invasions, and that's what was happening to me. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. My first appointment is next week with my holistic doctor, and so I've got kind of a balanced approach to this. I'm not looking forward to chemotherapy. I don't want that. So they haven't decided if I need it yet, but I don't think I'm going to take it. I'm going to work on some other approaches to it because there are other options, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm learning all that kind of stuff. I'm just applying all the things I've learned in my life
Now,
to this.
that was another thing is if, and this is what I thank myself, well, God, for being able to show what I was supposed to be doing up until, because I know you're always being called or prepared for a situation, whether it be a season of what I would say drought or a season of, like, you know, where you get blessings, you know, or something that a season of chaos or whatever it might be. You have the opportunity to prepare for that moment. So then when it strikes, you're able to still stay resilient, or you're still able to stay steadfast and cling to the same thing that you've always been able to, that's always taking you through everything. And I think whenever these type of things happen, fear takes place in the mind, confusion takes place in the mind. There might be some type of triggered trauma, no matter what, just because how your mind is hardwired. Whenever stress happens or something to that magnitude of stress happens, those type of traumas still come into play. So being able to have the right habits, the right tools for whenever disaster does strike is very, 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 very important. I think.
Well, it is important.
Knowing who you are,
yeah,
knowing who you are though is obviously you. I know you're on the right track with everything that you do. You know, so.
Well, it helps if you have all of your things laid down in life, your basic beliefs and all that, and your positions, all that. For when you get hit with something out of left field, you don't have to deal with all of that, all the emotional stuff, all of this, trying to figure out everything. You already got that done.
Because you got your mind on track.
Yeah. When I was first diagnosed with it, I sat my wife down and my grandson, who lives with us. We raised him. I sat him down on both of them, and I said, "Listen, here's my promise to you guys. I promise to do everything I can do to help me. I will take my medicines on time. I will go to every appointment. I will go to the gym and exercise. I will do this and do that. I will do everything that I can for you guys. So I don't want you to worry. Take that out of your mind about me, because I got the easy part, right? I just got the disease. I just work on that. My wife especially, just, 24 hours a day, it burdens her. She thinks about
Stressing about it.
Stressing, man. She doesn't act like it. She doesn't say it, but I see it.
Feel it. Energy's different. You understand it.
Yeah, and I don't want to be like that. I don't want her to have
feel
this
like you're
disease.
burdened to
No. So it's not I don't bury emotions and feelings. I try to adopt those feelings and suppress the negative things, because it doesn't help. It doesn't help me one single bit to be negative and go around complaining and telling people. I was reluctant to even talk about it in a podcast like this, but you said it was okay, and I don't mind.
Yeah.
Because if it helps somebody, because apparently 1 out of 6 of us are going to end up with this disease.
Yeah.
And how you deal with it. And yesterday I was sitting there in my robe, as we have to do that twice a day over there. And I see this guy I know. And I walk over to him and I said, "I know you." And they said, "Yeah, I know." He's a judge here in town. And no matter who you are, what your lot in life is, no matter how much money you have or any of this stuff, it can hit anybody. Things, tragedies, traumas can hit anybody. Your coping mechanisms are important. That's why these things are important. Not just to have a bunch of philosophy in life, but to be able to use that when you need it. It's a tool in my toolbox of life. I like to be balanced. I like to work. I like to play. I like to I like to worship. I like to spend time with my family. I like just balance. Just be balanced. I love business. I like doing all this stuff. I like exercise. I like taking care of myself. Do I love it? I don't have to love it. I just have to know it's the right thing to do. That will make you feel good. That would make you feel better. And I have nothing but good things to say about you guys and what you all have done for me over there. It was everybody over there, of course, is kind of special people anyway, I think. And it's just a privilege to be around you guys and positive people. That's why I like the gym. Everybody's positive.
Positive, yeah.
Yeah, you don't see people like
my quality of life is absolutely through the roof since I've been working here, and that's the I think the differentiating factor.
This is my wife. She doesn't work out. I do. She doesn't work out. She started going to the gym with me 3 weeks ago, 2 months ago, when I was first told about this. And I was still going, and she said, "I'm going to go with you." I'm like, "What?" "Yeah, I want to go with you." Okay. So she did. She did the next day. The next day, she's never missed a day. I've been sick this week from radiation poisoning and a bunch of nonsense, but she's still going by herself.
Oh my goodness.
She hasn't missed a single day. So, it tells you what your focus is will determine the quality of your life, what you focus on, right? You know that. You ever been to a party and there you're looking around, you and your partner or somebody, it doesn't matter. You guys are there and you're looking around. You see this couple over there arguing a little bit. You have a cocktail. You're like, I wonder what they're saying. You go into another room. You're talking to people. You look over. There's that couple again, and they're still at it. Blah, 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 blah. And that kind of thing. So we go home, and my wife says, "Wow." Or I say, "Man, that was a great party. Everybody was happy. I loved all the stuff." But that's not what she was focused on.
She was pissed.
She saw those two guys arguing. I mean, those two, a guy and a girl arguing, and then another room arguing. That's what she was.
Oh, she just felt negative vibes the whole time.
Yeah, she said, "Oh, that was a terrible party." What? It was a terrible party. Yeah, it was just tension. I don't know. It just wasn't a good time.
Yeah, she didn't like the energy.
I was having a good time. She was focused on that. So it's an illustration, although that's a true story. It's an illustration
how
as to
you
what
look
you
at
focus
things
on.
in your mind is what you're talking about.
What you focus on, man.
And I was actually talking to somebody about that today. Is like there's like you can do you can get so much praise and so much praise and so much praise, right? And then you can get a couple negative comments or something like that, and then what somebody will do is just focus on the two things.
It's like picking a pen and making a stain right there.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you focus on. But 99.9% of your shirt is perfect.
Yeah.
But so you got that one little stain there.
little
Is
stain.
that what you're going to focus on? Same thing in life. What are you going to focus on? It's all out there. You can see it in every situation. There's good and there's bad and there's people and all this kind of stuff. How do you design a life for yourself? You have to make choices. Choose to be and see things this way or that way. So I choose to ignore those people that argue. I don't even want to get into it. I go over and I'd rather talk to you. You're more fun. You're more interesting. We have a great time. That's what I do in life.
Exactly. You got choices. Power of
Yep.
choice, man. So
Abraham Lincoln did say this. I'll leave you alone with this. He said God's greatest gift to mankind
dude, you're like on fire. Keep going.
is free will.
Free will.
Free will. That's what Abraham Lincoln said. God's greatest gift to mankind is free will. So that means the choices are ours. They're not God's.
The blueprint's there.
Yeah.
You can follow the blueprint or don't follow the blueprint. It's up to you.
Yep. What you choose to do, what you choose to say, what you choose to see in life is your choice. You can make yourself. You're not predetermined. You're not predetermined how your life is going to be. You're not predestined. None of that. You have free will. So it's up to you. I know people have bad backgrounds and all that stuff, but guess what? So did you.
You know what's crazy is I used to view life like that too. It's not like I'm destined. I have it's already written, and it is written, right? But then there's also the story that you can write with it, the way that you followed, so that way you can create the testimony. And I think everybody has that choice, but I believe that sometimes when people go through, these the reason why people go through so much exposure to pain, to trauma, to sin, I would call it a lot of sin that and then when you become because you're in one light, right? You pray, you turn your life over to God, you walk into a new parallel into this other person, and then what I would imagine is you're able to help the best people that you would be able to help is your past self. So to be able to go through this and then experience this, the magnitude in life is really just discipleship, and however magnitude scale you create it, whether it's through social media, whether it's at a church, whether it's at your business, your company, maybe you do it volunteer, whatever it is, like that's your legacy though.
It's interesting. Some people, there's a guy at the gym. I'm not going to mention any names. You may know this person. His family is very wealthy. They own, I don't even want to say what they own. There's so much, so many things. And he has the right to be a little snooty or whatever he wants. He just is a very wealthy land baron and business owner and all this stuff. And yet he's one of the nicest, humblest guys. What I noticed about him before I even met him was he would leave his little area there and he'd go over and talk to this 300-pound woman sitting over there. Thing. He spent half an hour with her, just talking like this and just talking, just telling her how inspired he was by her, and that's why he comes here, because of people like her, not because of these muscle heads and all that stuff. I thought, that's pretty cool. And he does it all the time. He's just a genuinely nice person, and he doesn't have to be. That's the choice. Doesn't have to be. What is that? How does that trickle down? What's the use? What's the good? What's the payoff? What's the return on that investment? You know what it is? He's got probably thousands of employees. They all like him. They all want to work there. They all want to stay there.
I would say, and as far as leadership goes, my special strength would be the fact that I'm able to connect, because again, exposure to all the chaos, trauma. There's not one person that I can't sit down and talk to and just I feel your pain to some extent. Like I can understand how you feel to some degree, and just to be able to meet somebody right there and just let them feel significant, make them feel seen, make them feel heard, make them feel like you care about them. Because you do.
That's a
because
great
you do.
Point. Yeah.
But being able to emotionally, with emotional intelligence, be able to literally read a situation based off of a couple sentences and be able to talk to somebody and change the state that they feel, because now that they feel like, well, I can trust this person.
Sure.
And I can believe in this person. They gave me the time of day.
Well,
I didn't know people sucked at their job. Like, I've only had one job at Zone, and I didn't know people, like, I don't know what that looks like, like, oh, it's terrible, like, So
how'd you like to spend 3 years with Jesus, out on the road with him, sleeping, walking, working, all that stuff, trying to understand the message he was trying to get out, and yet they still fought and argued about who was the greatest, who's going to be on this right, who's going to have this title, and who were the two of the apostles? Peter and James said to their mom, "Would you go up there and tell Jesus that we need special seating and all this kind of stuff?" You get things like that, and Jesus was empathetic. That's my point. I told you, I look at the scriptures as a means of like a owner's manual. When Jesus went to resurrect Lazarus, he knew he was going to resurrect him. He knew he had the power. There was no problem.
Yeah.
He broke down sobbing when he got there and he saw Lazarus' sister.
Yeah, he had to experience the pain. He had to.
He did. He felt what they felt. That's empathy. When you feel what the other person is feeling. He was God's son. He came to resurrect him. It should have been a joyous occasion. He probably was, but he cared so much about the other people, and I've never forgotten that example. He cried. God's son cried because he was sad. It helped me understand empathy, okay? It just does. Put yourself in that person's feelings and position so strongly that you connect with them and understand and feel their pain. That's empathy. And that's, I don't know, it works, and that's how I've adopted it. When I talk to people, when I talk to them, I try to give them 100% of my attention.
Time, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got me, man. You got everything I got. I'm locked into your eyes. In fact, I do a little trick. I don't know if this is good or not. I always try to find your dominant eye, a person's dominant eye. All right, look at me right now. All right, hold your hand out. Put me in the center of this. Okay, put me in the center of that. Put your hand out like that and do that.
What do you mean?
Just this. Put me in the center. Okay, you are left eye dominant.
It has to be.
Well, oh, it's your right eye. Oh, you're blind. Oh, I forgot. He's blind in that eye. Wow. See, I told you I'm right.
Oh, man.
No, but listen, I tell you, that is a thing. Because if you can find out which person, a person talks to you with one eye.
Yeah.
They talk to you. You don't want to just stare at that eye. That's too weird. But, you want to find out what their dominant eye is, because that makes them connect with you more. It does. It makes them feel.
It's that one.
Yeah. It makes them feel that you're talking to them, that you're listening, you're seeing,
Absolutely.
So,
People skills, really good
yeah,
in
that's
leadership.
what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a people skill.
Yeah.
It's a people skill
Emotional
for a reason.
intelligence. Emotional. Yeah.
Yep.
And the more you're able to solve problems in your own life, and the more people come to you with situations and things that they go through, you're able to, if you can follow a specific formula. I'm not going to tell anybody the formula. We're not going to do that yet. I gotta really break. Well, I'll break that down for somebody.
Stay tuned
later
for
on.
part 2.
I'll break that down for somebody later. The formula. But if you can really understand people, understand the formula, like.
See, and I have the business.
It will give you
aspect
the
to this.
super
I can say
skill
for
of influence.
1995, we will send you that formula here.
So yeah, man, Deanie boy, I know Mr. Graciosi himself, Johnson.
There you go, Daddy-O.
I know you have some meetings that you have to attend to and go to after this, so we will see you on a different episode one day. We'll talk about his journey maybe a little bit later on,
Yeah.
in about 8 weeks or something.
Yeah, there.
Maybe a little bit after that we could talk about that. But I want to really thank everybody on the opposite side of there for listening, looking into everything, listening to him. He's got really good stories, as you know. He was really able to cover a lot of ground. I didn't have to ask him too many questions, which was good for me. But I really do appreciate you and your time for
I'm an
being
old
here.
dude, man. I got all kinds of stories, you know.
If give us a like, give us a share, give us some comments, let us know how you feel. Truly an inspiration to be able to sit with you today. Appreciate you, buddy.
You're the man.
Don't get a